So welcome all of you who are taking part and who as a respondent, they have connected to today's this webinar. This is a very important webinar for all of you, for the exporters of the gem and jewelry sector, because today we'll be addressing the gem and jewelry sector and the allied benefits, which is linked to the RoDTEP based on our sector. Now, when you talk about RoDTEP, what is the full form of that? The full form of that is remission of duties and taxes on exported products. So the name, as the name suggests, before all the governments in the world, they used to give special kind of benefits for their exporters to increase the export. There are so many schemes that were there. The income tax benefits as per, that ATH was there, and EPCG benefit is still now there. Then MEIS benefit was there. Before that, you have DEPB benefits. Now, all these benefits, other than EPCG benefits, we understand our sector or Target Plus scheme, there are so many schemes, of the government. Other than, this income tax scheme to an extent, and the EPCG, our sector, the gem and jewelry sector, was never given any incentive scheme per se by the government. We have never gone to them also, because we understand that if the duty, whatever we are giving, or we get the duty-free raw material, then we are happy. So that way, we have never gone to them and we have done with their business. But right now, what do you understand? That based on the World Trade Organization, international, deliberations, which is going on internationally, they have given a strict mandate to all the governments that you cannot give, as per the agreement of WTO, any incentive for the exporters. They're talking about a level playing field. So once they are talking about the level playing field, so this level playing field means they can only remit the duties or the taxes what the government have, levied upon the exporters. That only can be given back. No incentive can be given back. So the entire this incentive scheme for the exporters, the government was to align based on whatever taxes the government has taken, how to remit it. So because of that, they had made a committee on 30th of July 2020. They formed a committee called RoDTEP Committee under the leadership of Mr. G.K. Pillai, who was the previous Commerce Secretary and then he was the Home Secretary. So the committee worked very well. There are other people like Gautam Rai, etc. All of you, you understand that Gautam Rai also worked with us for the, that high-level committee on excise for the gems and jewelry when it was created. So all these people, came out with their recommendations. But in the meantime, it was already decided that RoDTEP benefits will be given from January 2021 onwards. So when it was decided, there was another circular. Based on that, what we had done as the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, if all of you remember, on 4th of January 2021, we have already given a circular. We followed this after 15 days also with the circular, and also called up all the members who are exporters to state that the RoDTEP, you have to create a special ledger, which is called a RoDTEP Credit Ledger account under the Credit Ledger tab in the IceGate, basically, online. So based on this tab, whatever you are creating and the shipping bill, there was an option, or still now there is an option of opting for RoDTEP scheme. So we have informed and we have suggested all our exporter members that you should get, yourself that tick mark in the RoDTEP scheme you should give before you file your shipping bill for exports. This was already informed to all of you, and what we understand based on that, most of you have, or maybe all of you, have already given a tick into that you will be opting for RoDTEP scheme. When this is happening on this side, in another side, based on the circular also what we had done, we have gone to the government and we have applied for the RoDTEP scheme. That means what are the taxes, because what the government came back to us asking that what are the taxes that your sector is suffering on way of export. So that basically we have already, applied to the government. On what segments we have applied, I can tell you, is that we had applied for cut and polish diamonds, where we found out that the taxation in different, like fuel taxes, etc., all these issues, etc. What are the taxes which is not coming back to you is 0.185% of the FOB value. In similar fashion, we have also submitted the data on studded gold jewelry with diamonds, which is 0.166% of the FOB value. Then plain gold jewelry is 0.064% of the FOB value. Silver jewelry 1.52% of the FOB value, and colored gemstone 0.28% of the FOB value. This was what we have submitted as a council based on the responses from the exporters. We have not got many responses, but they have told at least in each of the segment you should be having at least 5 responses. So somehow we collected those 5 responses because there were so many things that needed to be answered, and then based on that the calculations have been done, and these are the calculations what we got. However, when the RoDTEP rates are just now announced, maybe some 15 days back, then we understand that in our sector, all the segments, as per the HS code, the harmonized system code, that has been covered, like 7101, 7102, 7103, like that, all the chapter 71 codes have been covered. And in the wholesale rate, they have given the RoDTEP rate on FOB value 0.01%. That means 0.01% of your FOB value you can get as a script for RoDTEP. And only on imitation jewelry, there is a limitation of 0.5% based on per kg value. So this is how it has been announced. So the procedure they are telling, they will come back with the procedures. But however, if you follow the January 4, 2021 circular of ours, where we have already told to create the ledger, that is one of the procedures. Now, to understand what will be the procedure, how to avail about this, how to get the best of the benefits, we have with us today, from Lakshmikantan and Sridharan, we have 2 of the very eminent experts with us. One of them is Mr. Ratan Jain, who is the partner of Lakshmikantan and Sridharan. And also we have Mr. Saurabh Malpani with the principal associate. Now both of them are chartered accountants, and both of them under Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan were dealing with the FTP and the litigation and the advisory in areas of customs and FTP. So they were also representing the clients in the tribunal with regard to EPCG, duty drawback, MEIS, ACIS, DOU, SEZ, etc. So they are exactly equipped to talk about or have the knowledge with regards to the different benefits that the government was giving and how to take the benefits out of that. And of course, all of you must be knowing that Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan is one of the very eminent, one of the foremost legal firms in the country, and who are, of course, in the taxation, litigation, etc. They are one of the best in the country. That is what I know. So we have with us with these 2 gentlemen who are, of course, the best of the experts available today, and they will be taking you through benefits, how to avail this, what are the procedures, what are the benefits of it, and how to go forward about that. So I would now, leave it to Mr. Ratan Jain and Mr. Saurabh Malpani to take us forward through today's webinar.
Thank you very much for your kind words, sir. First of all, I must thank that you beautifully explained about the provisions and about this interaction with the board and government to take it forward. And for the first time, like, this industry would be getting this benefit. So it's a great achievement, because there are sectors who really incur these taxes, duties, which are going into manufacture of finished goods and export out of India, and these industries are kept out of the scheme for the time being. We do not know whether those industries, for example, pharma, chemical and steel, these 3 sectors are majorly in export, but these sectors have been kept out. For the first time, like this gems and jewelry sector, and this scheme has been given to them. Now we must avail the benefit, and then we must follow the procedures and compliances, what we need to really follow. Before I start this, just wanted to give the background, like why this RoDTEP and why not MEIS, or why not drawback alone is there to take care of this taxes or duties which we suffer on import of goods. prior to this RoDTEP, MEIS scheme was there. MEIS basically subsumed, as I mentioned, that focus product, focus market, VKGUI, MLFPS, those schemes were subsumed in the MEIS merchandise export from India scheme. This scheme went on for 5 years and then it was further extended for another 9 months. It started in April 2015 and it was there till 31st December of 2020. With effect from 1st of January, this RoDTEP scheme is applicable. MEIS, basically the purpose of MEIS was to offset the infrastructural inefficiencies in export of the goods. So basically this objective of the scheme, or nowhere in the scheme they talked about that this is reimbursing the duties and taxes embedded on the inputs which are going into the export product. So therefore this was known as duty incentive scheme, and this was part of chapter 3 of the foreign trade policy. But if we see this RoDTEP scheme, this is part of chapter 4, and the difference is this only, that this is not duty incentive scheme. The government is not giving incentive. Why can't they give incentive? Because any incentive which is on export basis, which is export contingent, would not be compliant with WTO, and therefore they have to withdraw. So therefore this MEIS was not WTO compliant scheme, and therefore it was considered as prohibited subsidy and it was withdrawn. So now to overcome that, the government brought this new scheme called remission of duties and taxes on exported scheme, export product scheme. So this scheme is basically reimbursing the actual duties and taxes embedded on inputs used in the manufacture of finished goods and export out of India. So again, this scheme is for export of goods. No benefit would be given for export of service. That is one thing. Saurabh, can you just... Yes, next. This scheme, as sir mentioned, in September 2019, Ministry of Finance announced this scheme in a press conference, because when we lost our matter in 2018, though we had filed appeal before appellate body in MEIS and then EPCG, 2-3 schemes were challenged by US before WTO. One of the scheme was MEIS. When we lost the matter at first stage, we had filed appeal before appellate body. The appeal is still pending, but on merits, prima facie we do not have case. So therefore, we have to bring another scheme. And in that line only, in fact, in 2019, government also simplified the scheme of mover, manufacturer and other bonded operations in bonded warehouse. And similarly for gems and jewelry sector also, they have simplified the special bonded warehouse facility. So those schemes also were in compliance with the WTO, and to overcome that, or to avoid the difficulties faced by the industry in exporting the goods or in claiming the benefit. So those schemes are in operation and moving very well, and even many of the representations have been made and many of the clarifications also have been issued by board in those schemes. So in continuation to that, when RoDTEP scheme was discussed sometime in September 2019, and it was to be initiated from 1st of January 2020. So the MEIS, they say that MEIS would be available till 31st December 2019, and from 1st January 2020, RoDTEP scheme would come. But due to some reasons or administrative challenges and all other factors, the government had to continue that MEIS, and then it continued till 31st December 2020. And in between, then they constituted RoDTEP committee just to get data from the industry, from export promotion councils, to find out that what actual taxes, duties are suffered in particular goods when they manufacture and export out of India. Accordingly, they collected data and then they analyzed these data for almost 4 or 5 months. Then finally on 31st December 2020, press release was issued saying that RoDTEP scheme would be applicable from 1st of January 2021. So people were very happy that 1st of January onwards they need not worry about MEIS not available and all, and then RoDTEP scheme would be available. But though this press release was issued, the public notice was issued, but there was no statutory notification. In fact, there was no, they did not start giving the benefit 1st January 2020 or 21 onwards. the benefit would, they indicated that 1st January 2021 onwards, if you export, then you have to declare that we intend to claim the benefit of RoDTEP. So that process was going on, and almost after 7.5 months, now on 17th August 2021, finally Ministry of Commerce has issued this notification granting the benefit of RoDTEP. So next. So this statutory recognition now has been given by this notification 17th August 2021, and then this scheme is part of chapter 4 of foreign trade policy, which basically talks about duty remission scheme. So therefore we need to understand this is the difference, that why this cannot be challenged, because this is giving the actual duty suffered on the inputs. This is nothing to do with the export contingent scheme. And similarly, DGFT also notified the rates, that what all rates would be available on the product. So that rate is notified in Appendix 4R, which is part of Handbook of Procedure. And there they basically provide two types of rate. One is specific rate and one is ad valorem based on FOB value. So if some of the products are there where they've provided both the rates, so there we need to see the whichever is lower one would be applicable, but otherwise most of the products are based on ad valorem, so based on FOB value of the export. One thing is this overall budget, how this will work, that we need to see in due course of time. I mean, because Ministry of Finance in the notification, they have indicated that this scheme would be based on overall budget. How will this budget be decided? That will be with Ministry of Finance will do with the consultation with Ministry of Commerce. So initially, if I recall, the 31st December 2020, when this press release was issued, at that time the budget indicated was 50,000 crores for RoDTEP, which is more or less similar with MEIS, because MEIS also was, that budget was around 50,000 approximately. So this budget of RoDTEP also was 50,000 crores. So therefore it was understood that this RoDTEP also would be available more or less at the same rate and to all the industries. That was the basic understanding. But when now they've issued this Appendix 4R, it indicates that around 8,555 products are covered under the scheme, and the budget for these products based on the rate etc. is quantified around for 12,000 crores. So this is the budget which they've indicated in the scheme now. Saurabh, this is not visible. Hello. Hello, Saurabh. Yes. Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah.
So, what is RoDTEP scheme? As name suggests, this is remission of duties and taxes on exported product. But what exactly they are covering under the scheme? What are the duties and taxes which they are going to consider? Is one thing which already have collected the data. But one important thing is, though they had collected data, this RoDTEP committee was constituted and they collected the data, but the data were pertaining to period October 2019 to March 2020. So for 6 months period only, whatever data were given by the industry, those only were considered for the rate purposes. But if there is a change in the structure or any change in the tax structure, etc., how will they consider whether another they will ask for the data, or if there is a change whether industry should make representation, etc. Those things are to be seen. But broadly, these are the taxes like mandi tax, VAT, coal cess, central excise duty on fuel, etc., which are otherwise not reimbursed in GST refund or customs. These are not part of customs, not part of GST refund, etc., or government also is not giving any subsidy. So these taxes and these VAT, mandi tax, duty on electricity, stamp duty, these are the tax and duties which are not reimbursed in any other manner. So those would be reimbursed by way of RoDTEP. So this is the indicative list, and these are the taxes which they have considered while seeking data in that form R1, R2, R3 data, whatever they collected during that time. This says that RoDTEP, this rebate will not be available in respect of duties and taxes already exempted. It is quite possible that some of the taxes are not payable by particular exporter or are being reimbursed. For example, electricity. Quite possible that like some of the states might be giving electricity exemption, electricity duty exemption. So whether that particular component is free or is being subsidized by the government, whether the entire scheme would not be available or the rates whatever they have fixed, whether they have already considered those exemption or subsidies given by the government is can be debated. Why I'm saying, because when we claim this RoDTEP, there would be a declaration filed by the exporter, and there we need to declare that we have not claimed any other taxes, any other refund, etc. under GST or any other law. So that declaration would be quite relevant for us to see whether indeed we have availed any benefit or dual benefit, etc. have been claimed or not. Then rate, as I was indicating, that rate would be FOB value. So FOB value, for example, like articles of gold, if we see falling under 71141110, the rate is 0.01%. So when you file shipping bill, 100,000 rupees is the FOB value. So you will get 10 rupees, 0.01%, 1 rupees or so. So that amount you will be getting as a RoDTEP benefit. Specific amount, because some of the entries are there in that appendix 4R, those are based on unit. So for example, like mobile phone falling under 8517, so they will say 24.5 per unit you will be getting the RoDTEP. Then rebate for certain items is both, I mean per cap per unit is there, as well as value also is there. So for example, imitation jewelry, so they will say that 71171990, this particular product, the rate would be 0.5% or rupees 2 per kg. So how will I know that how much I will get that? So if suppose 100 rupees is my FOB value, so I will see 100 into 0.5%, 50 paisa or so, that, or 2 rupees per kg based on, so whichever is lower, that I will be getting the benefit for that particular shipping bill. So these are the rates we just broadly captured for the industry, like 7101, 7102, and here if you see the rates, what we have indicated is all the three rates, like RoDTEP rate, what will be the RoDTEP rate, MEIS rate was nil, MEIS was not available, and drawback also was not available for few commodities, few sectors only. This RoDTEP benefit was, drawback benefit was available. So if we see, the majority of the products would be 0.01% on FOB value of the goods, which will be getting. Yes. So similarly here also, like dust and powder, silver, including silver plated, and also these are the rates we have just highlighted for ready reference. So this is the rate. Like 7113, if we see, so here RoDTEP rate is 0.01%, MES was not there, and drawback was of gold. If you export articles of jewelry made out of gold, then 372.9 per gram of net gold content, and if made out of silver, then 4,332 rupees per kg of net silver content. So this was the drawback. Now one thing is that question comes whether RoDTEP, this benefit as well as drawback, both benefit would be available or drawback would not be available. So answer is yes, both benefit, RoDTEP as well as drawback, both would be available for particular consignment, because RoDTEP is not replacing drawback. The drawback is for reimbursement of the custom duty, namely basic custom duty reimbursement, and RoDTEP is other duties which I indicated, VAT, Mandi tax, and all those things. So therefore both benefit would be available for particular consignment. So these are the rates we just indicated. We can share the PPT with you. Now who is eligible to claim benefits under the RoDTEP scheme? So every exporter exporting manufactured items covered under Appendix 4R will be eligible to avail the benefit of RoDTEP scheme. So what we need to see is, one, that goods are manufactured in India, items are covered under Appendix 4R, then I will be eligible for the benefit. Now here question comes, this exporter. Exporter means manufacturer alone or merchant exporter. Suppose if you manufacture the goods, but I did not export, I gave it to someone else, and who exported. So benefit would be available or not? So yes, according to us, benefit would be available, because so long as these goods being exported from India fall under Appendix 4R and are not in excluded categories, then those would be eligible for RoDTEP benefit. This claim is subjected to satisfying conditions, because there are certain conditions specified in notification. So those conditions we need to satisfy. Then one important is only ICE gate users with digital signatures can avail this scheme, which my colleague Saurabh would be dealing that. He will be explaining that only EDI port. Suppose if you export the goods at EDI port, then only you will be getting. How will you get that benefit? How will you create the ledger account? All those things would be discussed by my colleague Saurabh. Next slide.
Sure, Ratan sir.
Yeah, all to you, Saurabh.
So we'll start with, we have seen who is eligible for the RoDTEP benefit under the scheme. Now we'll see who is not eligible to claim the benefits under the RoDTEP scheme. And there's been a lot of hoalla over the ineligible categories, because it may cover a substantial quantum of exports from India. So first is exports of, so whatever exclusions were there under the MEIS scheme, so they say RoDTEP is crudely a replacement of the MEIS scheme. So whatever exclusions were there to whom they did not give the MEIS benefit, that has been carried forward. So if you import the goods and then you export the goods, so RoDTEP benefit will not be eligible to you. If only the goods are transshipped from India and they are not originating from India, then the RoDTEP benefit will not be eligible on those goods. If the export products are subject to some minimum export price or export duty, then the RoDTEP benefit will not be eligible on those transactions. I think so. Under the gems and jewelry industry, there are no minimum export price or export duty leviable to any article under the for the industry. This may not be relevant. Products restricted and prohibited for export under Schedule 2 of Export-Import Policy, those also are not eligible for RoDTEP benefit. For the gems and jewelry industry, Chapter 71, which covers the major products, is not restricted or prohibited for export. So this is also not relevant. May not hamper the industry. Deemed exports. So whatever deemed exports under the foreign trade policy, under Chapter 7 of the policy is categorized as deemed export. On those transactions, you will not be eligible for RoDTEP benefit. What are those transactions? If you are supplying to an advance authorization holder, that is a deemed export, you will not get a RoDTEP benefit. If you are supplying to EPCG holder, if you are supplying under some project benefit, so under those kind of deemed exports, if you are supplying to SEZ or EOU, so you will not be eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. Supplies of goods manufactured by DTA units is to SEZ FTZ units. So DTA supplying to SEZ, RoDTEP benefit is not eligible. Supplies of goods manufactured by DTA but exported through SEZ FTZ unit. So here goods were manufactured by the DTA but were exported through the SEZ unit. So there is an ambiguity whether the RoDTEP benefit would be available under this or not. Then we need a clarification in this area.
So in the context of MEIS, this Bombay High Court decided in favor. The matter was remanded. Here there was a dispute that goods were manufactured by DTA unit, but these were exported through SEZ unit, because DTA unit was not having any export order. So SEC claimed this benefit of MEIS, which department denied, saying that this category is out, DTA to SEZ. But here SEC demonstrated that these goods are not DTA to SEZ. These goods are supplied for the purpose of export. So therefore, High Court convinced with that, and matter was remanded to original adjudicating authority. So whether this situation would be available in RoDTEP or not, so we can rely upon this decision. If products are manufactured by DTA but exported through SEZ.
Better let the association get the clarity from the government itself on such type of transactions to avoid any dispute. Products, then the list continues. Products manufactured in EHTP and VTP are also not eligible for RoDTEP benefit. EHTP is Electronic Hardware Technology Park. These are technology parks, so it will not relevant for the gems and jewelry industry. Goods which have been taken into use after manufacture. So second-hand goods are not allowed for RoDTEP benefit. That we need to see. Now there are 5 more exclusions which cover the major quantum of exports. Now, goods manufactured in a Section 65 warehouse, which are custom bonded warehouse, are not eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. Couple of months back only, we did a webinar on special bonded warehouse, wherein we explained the industry the whole concept of special bonded warehouse. But there is a flaw in the scheme that RoDTEP benefit is being denied to the goods manufactured in such a special bonded warehouse. Products manufactured or exported in discharge of export obligation against advance authorization or DFI or special advance authorization issued under a duty exemption scheme of relevant FTP. So under chapter 4 of the foreign trade policy, if you have taken any advance authorization for gems and jewelry, then RoDTEP benefit would not be eligible on those exports which you have made under the advance license. Then products manufactured or exported by 100% EOU. So if the gems and jewelry unit is in a EOU, 100% EOU unit, then all the products manufactured in that EOU unit and exported outside India will not be eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. Products manufactured or exported availing the benefit of notification 32 of 97. This is the job work notification under the Customs Act. So when you import some goods from outside India, do the job work on those goods and then export back. On that also, you will not be eligible for any RoDTEP benefit. Exports for which electronic documentation in ISGATE EDI has not been generated, or exports from non-EDI port. So it seems like a policy decision that they won't want to give any RoDTEP benefit for non-EDI port. Maybe in the past there have been instances of fraud through non-EDI ports. Hence they want to shift all the and the scheme is totally IT enabled. Hence they do not want to make any manual leeway for it, manual applications and manual refunds. So they have denied the benefit for non-EDI ports. Here one more we may have skipped with products manufactured by SEZ. So if it's an 100% SEZ, it's an SEZ unit, gems and jewelry SEZ unit, then products manufactured by that unit and exported outside India also will not be eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. So advance authorization holder, EOU unit, SEZ unit, these 3 are not eligible for the RoDTEP benefit as of now. So in the scheme guidelines under the FTP which have been notified, they have told at a later stage they may give the benefit to this 3 categories of units: advance authorization holder, EOU and SEZ holder. So they may get the benefit at a later stage, and the rates will also be separately notified for these categories. So we think that they are considering for a lower rate for these kinds of units. We have earlier also discussed at many associations that for an advance authorization holder, we don't find any logical point to exclude it from the RoDTEP benefit or to give it a reduced rate, because when you try to see what are the benefits eligible under the RoDTEP scheme, what are the taxes and duties which are refunded under the RoDTEP scheme, and the taxes and duties refunded under the advance authorization scheme, those are totally different. Advance authorization tries to refund the custom duties on the imported goods. That's the main purpose of advance authorization. And RoDTEP, it tries to reimburse the local taxes and levies like electricity duty, VAT excise duty on fuel, and mandi tax, stamp duty. These all taxes are not refunded under the advance authorization scheme. So according to us, advance authorization scheme should get the full benefit of the RoDTEP scheme, but it seems like a policy decision that they want to give it a lower rate, which may be specified later. Even RoDTEP scheme is not, like we have earlier discussed, that RoDTEP is not available to iron and steel industry, chemical industry, pharmaceutical industry. So no products of these industries have been notified under Appendix 4R. So RoDTEP benefit is, as of now, is not eligible to these three industries. Particularly for the gems and jewelry industry, under Chapter 4 of the Foreign Trade Policy, there are 4 types of schemes. There are 3 types of schemes for which there is no clarity on whether RoDTEP benefit will be eligible for it or not eligible for it. The 4 schemes are: first is advanced, the nominated agency, so procurement from nominated agency and exports thereafter. So whatever gold I procure from nominated agency without payment of duty, and I export finished goods made out of those gold or silver, whether RoDTEP benefit would be eligible or not, there is a certain ambiguity in this area. Even for replenishment authorization for gems and consumable, whether RoDTEP scheme will be eligible or not, there is a certain ambiguity. The 4th scheme is the advance authorization scheme. The normal advance authorization scheme, where we have to apply for advance authorization license. So for that, the exclusion portion takes care that advance authorization scheme is not eligible for RoDTEP. But what about for nominated agency exports, wherein gold or silver was procured from nominated agency and finished goods were exported by the exporter? Whether RoDTEP benefit will be eligible or not? What about those exports where I have taken, for which I have taken replenishment authorization, whether RoDTEP benefit will be eligible or not? If we look at the AIR scheme, so all anticipated rate of duty drawback scheme, there were 2 specific kinds of exclusion under the duty drawback scheme. One, they had clearly mentioned, like the RoDTEP scheme, whoever is availing advance authorization is not eligible for duty drawback. Second, there was a separate para to cover the above 3 schemes: replenishment authorization and local sourcing from nominated agency. There was a specific para under the advance authorization duty drawback scheme that these three schemes will also not be eligible for the duty drawback scheme. However, that kind of a para is not mentioned in the Chapter 4 in the scheme guidelines of RoDTEP. So we actually, association can represent on this point to the government on getting this ambiguity cleared. Next is, what are the criteria? Like we have earlier discussed, the export goods should be covered under Appendix 4R. That is the first and most important criteria. Then at the time of export, in the shipping bill, there will be a declaration, or there will be a question whether you want to avail the benefit of RoDTEP on this export. It will be a yes or no question. You have to select yes if you want to avail the benefit of RoDTEP on those exports. Similar to duty drawback scheme, even under RoDTEP scheme, it is subject to foreign currency realization. So you should realize the foreign currency and within the stipulated period, which is mentioned in the FEMA Act. So if you don't realize within the stipulated period, RoDTEP benefit may be recovered from the exporter. So, but there is a difference between the RoDTEP and the earlier MEI scheme. In the earlier MEI scheme, when you are making an application for MEIS, they used to ask for the BRC, and then only you were allowed to make an application. However, under the RoDTEP scheme, there is no such, as of now, under the scheme guidelines, it says that rebate would not be dependent on the realization of export proceeds at the time of issue of rebate. So, when they are giving the RoDTEP benefit, they are transferring the benefits to us. At that time, it will not be subject to foreign currency realization, but later, if you don't realize, there will be recovery provisions. This is similar to duty drawback scheme. In the duty drawback is not subject to realization at the point of claiming the duty drawback. But later, the rules say that if you don't recover the export proceeds in foreign currency and within the stipulated time, then the duty drawback may be recovered along with interest. Similar recovery provisions will be announced by the Ministry of Finance under the RoDTEP scheme. They are yet to be issued. The rules and procedures for grant of the scheme and the recovery provisions, these are yet to be issued by the CBIC. But they have made it very clear it will be all be through an IT enabled platform. So there will be no manual applications or manual scripts, or it will all be IT enabled. So I was saying there are no manual scripts, there will be electronic scripts issued under the RoDTEP scheme. And how is the benefit going to be given to you? So benefit is not be given to you in cash in your bank account. That is not how the RoDTEP scheme will work. Whatever RoDTEP benefit is eligible to you, it will be given to you in the form of a duty credit script, like it used to be before the RoDTEP under the MEIS scheme. There used to be a transferable duty credit script. So suppose you are eligible on your export for 100 rupees RoDTEP, you will get a 100 rupees script. So how can I encash that script? Either I can myself import goods, and whatever BCD is eligible for is livable on those imported goods, I can use the scripts as cash to pay that BCD. So in that form, first you can utilize, or second, it's a transferable script. You can transfer the script to someone else who wants to utilize it for payment of import duty, specifically only basic customs duty. So this electronic scripts can be used only for payment of BCD on the imported goods. So either you yourself are having any imports, you can pay the BCD via this electronic scripts, or you can transfer the scripts to any other importer who wants to utilize the scripts for payment of BCD. And this scripts, it will all be electronically duty credit scripts. Manual scripts will not be there. So if you select yes for RoDTEP benefit, a scroll will be generated. It will be shown in your RoDTEP credit ledger. Then you have to generate your script based on that scroll, and then you can transfer that script very easily through the IceGate mechanism. So like I said, recovery provisions will be there. Since they are not asking for foreign currency realization at the time of export, at the time of getting the RoDTEP benefit, later on, if you don't realize the foreign exchange proceeds, there will be recovery provisions. So separately, those recovery provisions will be provided by law. Even if you are misusing or doing any fraudulent activity, then they can suspend or withhold your RoDTEP benefits. There will also be penalty provisions which will be announced for fraud and misuse. Even the penal provisions under the existing Customs Act will be applicable for it. Like if you fraudulently avail the RoDTEP benefit and you get the script, and then you transfer the script, and some other person imports goods and pays BCD by using those scripts. So in that way, the exporter also and the importer also can be held liable under the provisions of the Customs Act. So all the provisions of the Customs Act, relevant provisions, will also be applicable for this recovery and penalty provisions. This we have already discussed, that you have to create your RoDTEP credit ledger account on the IceGate portal. So by your IC, you have to log in the IceGate portal. You can create the e-script. E-script tab will be there. Whatever shipping bills wherein you have shown as yes, those shipping bills will be mentioned in those tabs. And then you can easily select and generate scripts of any amount. So if you want to club any amount of exports and create a script, and then those scripts can be easily transferred also. In the MEIS scheme, there used to be dispute that exporter used to inadvertently miss declaring in the shipping bill that I want to avail the benefit of RoDTEP. So inadvertently he used to declare as N, that is no, I don't want to avail. But that was an unintentional mistake on the part of the exporter. So there were a lot of cases where in such cases DGFT used to not provide or grant any benefit of MEIS to such exporters. So in these cases, some exporters have gone to the writ courts, and the courts have told that this is not fatal to the claim. substantial benefit will not be denied only on this procedural lapse of yes or no. But yes, if you miss ticking on the Y button, then you have to take all the hassles of going through the VRIT court or the policy relaxation committee. Many exporters go to policy relaxation committee also, that please relax the provisions of yes and no in the MEI scheme. So those things will even continue under the RoDTEP scheme. If you do not tick Y or N, if you unintentionally tick N at a time of export, but you wanted to avail the benefit, you may have to go through the hassles of the policy relaxation committee or the VRIT court to get the relief. So this is a very important criteria. Like I've earlier said, for transfer of script, it's an easy mechanism on the IceGate portal, wherein you have to, whatever scripts you have generated, you just have to select the script, and then you need the IEC of the recipient. So IEC of the recipient, if you get, then you can transfer the script to that recipient. And then that recipient can use those scripts even for payment of BCD, or he can transfer it to another person. There are some GST issues on transfer of e-scripts. Like today, all the scripts are electronic scripts. There are no manual scripts. In earlier, like 15-20 years back, we used to have manual scripts for this all the FTP benefits. There was case laws under the past VAT jurisdictions that even manual scripts were accounted for goods. You can those were good qualified as goods. So if you transfer the scripts to one person to another, then that was a sale of goods. So there was, if it's a sale of goods, there was no problem of how to, in the GST Act, sale of scripts which are classified as goods, on that there is no GST applicability. But what if these scripts are not, what if those were tangible scripts? Now the scripts are intangible in electronic mode. Now under the GST law, anything which is not goods is qualified as a service. Now, when you call this transfer of scripts as a service, then it can be subjected to a levy of 18%. So in this area, we need a clarification from the government that what will be the GST applicability on transfer of such electronic scripts. Whether the government will qualify this as a supply of a service, being electronic scripts and as an intangible. So on this portion, we need clarity from the government. Even if you have transferred the script to some other person, and then there are proceedings against you that you have overvalued your exports, and then the scripts were higher value of scripts were being given to you, and then recovery provisions are being enabled, then how the same will be dealt, that in that area also we need to see. Like we have said that at non-EDI ports, export from non-EDI ports, you will not be eligible for the RoDTEP benefit. But what about the imports from non-EDI ports? Whether the electronic credit scripts which I have through exports from EDI port, whether they can be used for utilization at non-EDI ports. It is a clarification we need from government on this point. It's a procedural point. Now we'll summarize all the potential issues which you have discussed in this session. So whether the rates notified adequately cover the incidence of unrefunded taxes and duties borne on the export products. So what if I am getting only, so in the gem and jewelry industry, like Mr. Ray said, that their initial projections were 1.6% or something on silver and all, silver products, but what is given is only 0.01%. So it does not adequately cover the incidence of the all the unrefunded taxes and duties which are borne on the goods. So what mechanism will be there by the government to resolve these kind of situations? Like in the drawback scheme, they used to have a brand rate of drawback. So in the drawback scheme also, there is a fixed rate which is known as the all industry rate, It is a brand rate. So whichever person is not satisfied with the fixed rate, he is not eligible. Like there's a criteria. If 80% of your taxes and duties are not refunded by the fixed rate, then drawback scheme used to say you can go for the brand rate, which is actual, based on actual. Give the actual bill of entries, give the actual data, and get a brand rate. So whatever actual duties you have suffered, you will get a refund of that drawback of the duties. So similar scheme can also be introduced in the RoDTEP. So exporter specific brand rate can be given to exporters who are suffering more, who are not adequately reimbursed through this fixed RoDTEP rate. So on this point, the association can represent to the government. Now, according to us, duty drawback and RoDTEP benefit are totally into different, totally reimbursing different levies. So they can be availed simultaneously, but it is better to get a clarity from the government that both the schemes, duty drawback and RoDTEP, can be availed simultaneously. Whether the benefit to advance authorization 100% EOU and SEZ will be effective retrospectively or prospectively. For other normal exports, they have given the retrospective benefit. So they have announced the scheme, RoDTEP scheme now, but from 1st January, they have given the benefit to all the goods for RoDTEP benefit. Even advance authorization scheme, they said that advance authorization EOU and SEZ, the RoDTEP committee is discussing on the rates, what rate should be given. So if they come back with a rate after 2 months, whether it will be effective from 1st January or not is a major question, for which the association can represent to the government. So we have discussed that what happens in case an exporter has not indicated the intent of claim on the exports made in the past. So from 1st January, so if you're given the benefit retrospectively, but from 1st January to up till now, you have not you tick yes in the RoDTEP column, then whether you will be eligible for the benefit or not. Association should write to the government to provide for a general amnesty in such type of cases, and wherever RoDTEP is not even claimed in the past shipping bills, the exporter should be allowed to submit the number of serial numbers of shipping bill, and the RoDTEP benefit should be allowed. But specific amnesty should be provided by the government in this area. Whether an exporter would be eligible if he is already claiming benefit of unrefunded taxes, duties, levies under any state-specific scheme. For example, under many regions, there is an electricity duty exemption. For example, in the Vidarbha region in Maharashtra, there is an electricity duty exemption to all the industrial units. And electricity duty is a component of the, while calculating the determining the RoDTEP rate, the data which the government called for, one of the data was electricity duty suffered by the exporter. So that has been taken into account. Now, what if that exporter had already been exempted from those levy in the specific region? So here, according to us, you may be eligible for the benefit even if your any state-specific benefit is being exemptions are given to you, because like similar to the drawback scheme, there is an all industry rate of drawback, but there are many circulars in government case laws which says that it is an average rate. Not every exporter should incur the basic customs duty to be eligible for the duty drawback. Whether same analogy will be applicable here, that not every exporter should actually suffer these taxes to be eligible for this average rate. Is this rate an average rate of the industry? That needs to be clarified by the government through a circular, that this is an average rate, and even if somebody is getting an exemption in a state-specific region, then even that exporter would be eligible for this benefit. Whether additional RoDTEP benefit will be granted in case of increase in the FOB value of the goods subsequent to export. Whenever government provides for the implementation of the scheme, we are yet to see the rules and procedures. We need to see whether there is a provision for supplementary claims. A provision for supplementary claims can well take care of this situation. If there is no provision for supplementary claim, and this is the area where there needs to be a representation. Whether interest would be available on the past eligible exports in terms of Appendix 4R made post 1/1/2021. Now we are getting the benefit act. I think so. This is very much the government can do. It's very unlikely government will give interest on the benefit, which is accrued benefit up till now. But you can get the clarity from the government on this point. Whether government can change the RoDTEP rates within the same financial year. This will be very a debatable point if the government does do it within the same financial year. So exports made during the initial part of the year will be getting may get a higher RoDTEP rate, and like we earlier discussed, the scheme is through the budgetary outlay, and they have to maintain the budget while giving the RoDTEP benefit. So what if the budget for that sector or exhaust till the end of the financial year? Whether they can say that for the last 4 months of the financial year, no RoDTEP benefit will be given. So this is an unequal treatment, and this can also be challenged in the writ court. We can see the possibility of challenging this, where if the government does change the rates within the same financial year. The scheme now says that on an annual basis they will determine the rates. So on an annual basis, we expect the government will change it and not within the same financial year. But if it does change within the same financial year, we need to see whether we can challenge the same. Whether the scheme would work like drawback model without any separate application or MEIS model with separate application. So duty drawback, you only need to take yes in the shipping bill, and automatically the duty drawback amount is credited in your bank account. However, the MEIS model did not work like it. Once you have to tick yes in the MEIS in the shipping bill, but after that you have to get the BRC, make a separate application by attaching the BRC. So there was a separate application under the MEIS scheme. So what kind of model will be followed under the RoDTEP scheme need to be seen when the implementation guidelines, implementation and procedure rules are brought by the government. Rathan sir, you want to add something?
Thank you, Saurabh. I think you have covered almost a couple of more points which may not be part of this slide. One is doubt comes whether this EPCG authorization holder, when they export finished goods, can claim this RoDTEP benefit or not. So this was doubt raised by many of the clients. So yes, there is no dispute no issue on that. So APCG as well as RoDTEP simultaneously can be claimed. There is no problem on that. Then another is this budgetary framework which Saurabh was mentioning. In the notification issued by this Ministry of Commerce, they indicate that this RoDTEP benefit would be based on this budgetary framework, and then they will determine the rates and Ministry of Finance with the consultation with Ministry of Government. So doubt can come like initially, like Saurabh was mentioning, that initial for few months, if you are exporting the goods, you were getting this rate, and then suddenly like their budget got exhausted, and now they want to reduce the rate or they want to withdraw. Whether they can do this or not, whether you have any vested right in claiming the benefit, that is something we need to see, because policy categorically says that license or any script, no, there is no vested right by the SEC. Government can put any condition, any number of condition in order to give the benefit. So therefore that is something we need to see whether you can get this benefit or not. And in past it had happened, like government suddenly brought that notification amending the MEIS saying that for these 4 months the cap is 2 crore rupees per IEC holder. So similarly here also for particular sector or particular exporter or any kind of cap etc. they can bring. So that something we need to see. Then even sequence of rate and sequence of this sectors also would be determined by government. So even if like some of the categories or some of the exporters are outside this purview of RoDTEP, whether we can challenge or not, it would be challenge of the notification per se, and whether court will interfere or not, say, because court also may say that this is policy matter, it will be between Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Finance etc., and the government may interfere, court may interfere, may not interfere. That's something we need to see. So basically in these matters clarification from the government would help rather than going to court unless we have substantial case like the rate, etc. This portion, this reimbursement of the rates or duties and taxes certainly should not be linked with the budgetary constraint. So that's something we can explore the possibility of challenging this, like 1.6% or so, as Saurav was mentioning, Mr. Ray mentioned that they have projected and which was given, and now currently they are getting 0.01%. So probably we can explore whether we can challenge and then get the rate increased or not. That kind of clarification we can take that. So I think we have done that. So now we are open for questions and answers. Yes, sir. So how will we see, sir? We'll see the this chat.
सर प्रेजेंटेशन आप जरा निकालेंगे तो लोग देख पाएंगे आपको.
हाँ, Saurabh, just remove the presentation.
Yes.
We can chat box. One is claim applicable for SEZ unit. So we already clarified that as of now they've excluded the date for SEZ would be notified later. So as of now there is no benefit. Then another question is, we are manufacturing of jewelry parts for hard export A. We also do deemed export B, and we do job work for SEZ C. Can you explain ABC, which is benefit? No, whatever export you make physically, if those goods fall under Appendix 4R, and if you comply with the condition of the notification, then you are eligible. Deemed export benefit is not eligible for RoDTEP benefit, and job work for SEZ also would not be eligible because DTA to SEZ supply is also outside the purview of RoDTEP. So B and C would not be. A, yes, A you can get the benefit. In our shipping bill under part 4 in RoDTEP details quantity is mentioned, but in summary on first page the RoDTEP amount mentioned is 0. So we are getting any benefit? So shipping bill, when you started declaring this yes or no, or declaration of intent in the shipping bill 1st January 2021 onwards, we are given to understand that government or the customs portal itself is indicating some of the rate, maybe 0.01%, 0.5% or 1% or so, depending upon the industry and product, etc. They were indicating, but that rate you would not be getting. That is for the purpose of just filing the shipping bill. Some rate they have indicated, but actually the rate indicated in Appendix 4R you would be getting the benefit of. So as and when they start this portal, this giving the creating the account and then digital signature, etc. you make available, then you can be able to see because how the process would be when you file shipping bill. Each shipping bill will be sent for RMS. Under RMS only you have to file. Then scripts would the shipping bill either will be sent to the officer or it will be sent for scroll, generating the scroll. So if suppose if sent to the officer, then officer will examine the product, etc., the benefit, what is available and all, and then he will send for scroll generating. The moment scroll is generated, then you will be able to see on your portal, on your login ID, that this amount is eligible for you to get the RoDTEP benefit. So amount would be indicated, and then based on the number of shipping bills, you can generate your scripts. So suppose 3-4 shipping bills you can club and then generate one script. So accordingly you can generate the script, and then you will be able to see the script number, and these are the shipping bills, how many shipping bills are there under this script, that you will be able to see. Suppose if you want to transfer, you can transfer, that option would be there, and if you want to utilize, you can utilize the scripts. So it will be like that. So rate indicated in the shipping bill at the time of export, not relevant.
I can take. If we purchase export gold without duty from authorized dealers, the RoDTEP applicability is not clear, right? So yes, I understand that you're asking if I'm purchasing gold from nominated agency, then I'm exporting finished goods, whether RoDTEP is eligible or not. So as of, in our view, as we read the law as of now, RoDTEP benefit is eligible on these exports from wherein gold was purchased from nominated agency. No specific exclusion is there for a nominated agency scheme. However, this should be represented to government and there should be clarity from government. So later there should not be retrospective denial, because in drawback it is very clear, duty drawback, that even for advance authorization scheme under for gems and jewelry and for nominated agency scheme for gems and jewelry, both are not eligible for duty drawback. So to avoid any possibility of retrospective denial, you should write to the government and clear this ambiguity. Okay.
पांडे सर आप चेक कर लीजिए और कुछ क्वेरी कुछ है किसी का तो चैट बॉक्स में थी वो तो हमने कर दी है एनी अदर क्वेरी और एनीथिंग कुछ आप म्यूट पे हो सर सर यू आर ऑन म्यूट
जी जी जी
Can we have the option of choosing RoDTEP for specific exports? It's a RoDTEP you have to claim shipping bill wise. So in the shipping bill, if you want to claim the RoDTEP benefit, then you have to take yes. So shipping bill wise you have to claim the RoDTEP benefit. Rajan sir, what if in the shipping bill I have 4 items and I want to claim RoDTEP for 2 and for 2 I don't want to claim? So,
it should be eligible. See, suppose if you are exporting against advance license and some of the goods you do not want to show towards fulfillment of export obligation, there probably we suggest you file separate shipping bill. But if products, if you are exporting in one shipping bill and 3 products are only part of appendix 4R, one product is not part of product appendix 4R, then certainly yes, for 3 products you should be able to get that RoDTEP benefit.
ये क्वेश्चन था, could you explain the benefits in INR through an example, that how could we get the benefits from the scheme if we will export?
So suppose if you export the goods worth ₹100, okay, you will file shipping bill mentioning ₹100 and ₹100 I'm saying, but otherwise this will be freely convertible currency. You have to realize in freely convertible currency in the foreign exchange, okay. And if you realize the convertible currency in INR is ₹100, rate mentioned is let's say 1%. So ₹1 will be eligible as a benefit from the government. This ₹1 will be you will be getting as a script, because you have to generate the script. So ₹1 will be shown in your account. You have to create an account like in our app, no, so many like bank account or any other account which we maintain, Paytm or kind of thing. So this is like similar to that. We can for simplification we can just understand. So ₹1 will be credited in your account. ₹1 balance will be available. So whenever you want to import basic custom duty, you can pay that. If you do not intend to import anything, this ₹1 script you can transfer to someone else. So this how you can get money, cash also from the transferee to whom you are going to sell the scripts. So that benefit is available under this scheme.
A question और था, recently we have exported under duty drawback. On that time we have mentioned no. Now any chance to change your, exactly वो करना चाहते हैं कि उन्होंने export कर दिया.
Correct. वो उसमें I mean problem is there because notification and then public notice issued at that time, they clearly indicated that you have to declare, you have to select yes or no. And at the time they also indicated that if you forgot to indicate that yes or no, then you will not be given any benefit. Okay, there are cases where courts also have held saying that if there is a procedural issues also, that has to be complied with. So even adverse cases also there against SEC, but in the context of MEIS, as Saurabh mentioned, there are 3-4 High Court decisions which held that even if you have not indicated that declaration of intent or yes or no, you have not selected, but there was issue in MEIS and RoDTEP. There is a difference. In MEIS, basically you were required to mention also declaration of intent. I intend to claim the benefit of MEIS, and then yes or no in the remarks column you have to indicate why or no. But here you need not mention we intend to claim RoDTEP. You just simply need to declare yes or no. That tick option you have to do. So there the courts have held in those cases that we have mentioned that we intend to claim the benefit, but yes or no we forgot to tick. So therefore that those cases may be relevant, may not be relevant. So this is like subject to litigation. It will be.
सर ये SEZ से एक क्वेश्चन आया है, is RoDTEP RoDTEP benefits eligibility based on total export turnover.
Yes, yes. Irrespective of the turnover, you will be getting that benefit. But SEZ exports है, अगर SEZ ने export किया है, then benefit अभी नहीं available है. मतलब उनकी date बाद में notify होगी.
Okay. Whether consignment exports are eligible for RoDTEP?
If suppose if like this is export, and if you are going to realize the convertible foreign currency, then it is benefit is available. But suppose अगर गुड्स किसी और कंट्री का है और कंट्री में जाने वाला है, इंडिया में जस्ट रूट हो रहा है, ट्रांसशिपमेंट है, तो बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. मतलब उनका इंटेंशन वेरी क्लियर है, गुड्स इंडिया में मैन्युफैक्चर होना चाहिए, इंडिया से एक्सपोर्ट होना चाहिए और फॉरेन करेंसी इंडिया में आनी चाहिए.
रतन सर, ये गुड्स व्हिच आर गोइंग फॉर एग्जीबिशन, हाउ विल बी ट्रीटेड?
नहीं, गुड्स एग्जीबिशन के लिए गया है, but there will be some time limit, 45 days or 90 days, like for USA etc. some.
Correct.
So if suppose if after exhibition if you bring back the goods, then certainly you are not eligible. But if you have exported, if those goods have been sold in that country, okay, then you will be eligible for that benefit. But again the problem would be when you are exporting, when you are filing shipping bill, at that time you do not know.
Correct.
I intend to claim or these goods are meant for export or not. So that problem would be there. And
can discuss in detail offline how to strategize for consignment export actually.
That's correct. Because in the notification they categorically say that contingent liabilities or arrears of revenue etc., arrears of this benefits, those would not be allowed to be carried forward. मतलब आपने इस साल का बेनिफिट इस साल ले लिया तो ठीक है, अगले साल आपको बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. There will not be any contingent liabilities or like that. वो नहीं होगा इसमें, क्योंकि ये क्या है कि बजटरी फ्रेमवर्क है. अभी 12,000 करोड़ का उन्होंने बजट किया है. हो सकता है कि सडनली उनका बजट 10,000 करोड़ हो जाए, हो सकता है नेक्स्ट ईयर में उनका बजट 20,000 करोड़ हो जाए. सो इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन द बजट व्हिच दे विल अलोकेट फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर बेनिफिट एंड अकॉर्डिंगली दे विल गिव. सो जैसे ही वो बजट एग्जॉस्ट हुआ, हो सकता है कि वो रेट कम कर दे या देना बंद कर दे. लाइक एमईएस में भी ये हुआ ना. आज एमईएस भी 2021 का मिला नहीं ना भी किसी को भी. But at least there it was not budget constant. They did not indicate, except वो सितंबर से दिसंबर के लिए जिसमें उन्होंने बोला था 2 करोड़ वाला, but otherwise और कोई नहीं था उसमें. And 2 करोड़ वाले के लिए भी गुजरात हाईकोर्ट में एक रिट पेंडिंग है. Yes sir.
रतन सर, एक टेक्निकल थोड़ा इशू था. We face problem if product line more than 1,000 SP is not generated. If we select the scheme RoDTEP, but the same was select RoDTEP no, then SP generated. कुछ इस पे आप प्रकाश डाल सकते हैं?
We face problem if product line more than 1,000 shipping bill is not generated. If we select the scheme RoDTEP but same we select RoDTEP no, then अच्छा, मतलब ये बोलना चाहते हैं कि if suppose 1,000 shipping bill there, more than 1,000 shipping bill is there,
प्रोडक्ट लाइन
product line, then अच्छा in one shipping bill more than 1,000 line
प्रोडक्ट लाइन. yes sir.
Okay. Then I think this may be system error or no, with the custom department or with CBIC only we have to take up. Legally they are permissible, but if like that be the case, then I think they have to split them. Then maybe 500 line item only they should mention in that. And because of cultural issues, we should not be denying the other benefit as a RoDTEP benefit.
राइट सर, थैंक यू सो मच रतन जी और सौरभ जी आपके इस अच्छे मार्गदर्शन और प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए. मुझे लगता है कि मेंबर्स के क्वेश्चंस लगातार आते ही रहेंगे और भी जो क्वेश्चंस होंगे हम आप तक पहुंचाने का प्रयास करेंगे. मेंबर्स, अगर कोई डाउट्स आपके मन में अभी रह गई हो, कोई चीजें आपने प्रश्न नहीं पूछ पाए हो, तो आप हमें लिखें. हम जो है आपके प्रश्नों को सर तक पहुंचाएंगे और जो भी प्रैक्टिकल सॉल्यूशंस होगा वो आप तक पहुंचाने का प्रयास करेंगे. और आपके कांटेक्ट डिटेल्स, बाकी डिटेल्स भी हम आपको जो रिपोर्ट भेजते हैं उस रिपोर्ट्स के साथ में आपको हम शेयर करेंगे. और हम चाहेंगे कि आप उनके इस एक्सपर्टाइज का बेनिफिट्स ले सकें. एक बार मैं फिर से आप दोनों महानुभावों का धन्यवाद देते हुए और जो मेंबर्स जुड़े हैं उन सबका भी धन्यवाद देते हुए हम सब विदा लेते हैं. लेकिन इसके पहले जो मेंबर्स जुड़े हैं मैं उनको बताना चाहूंगा कि IIGJ जो GJEPC का IIJS जो एक प्रेस्टिजियस शो है वो पूरी तरह से ऑन है. 15 से 19 सितंबर के दौरान बेंगलोर में होने जा रहा है. उसकी सारी तैयारियां लगभग पूरी हो चुकी हैं. जिन लोगों ने अपने प्री रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करवाए हैं कृपया करवा लें, क्योंकि आपके पास समय बहुत कम है और ऑन द स्पॉट रजिस्ट्रेशन की व्यवस्था वहां पे नहीं है. तो आप सबसे आग्रह है जो मेंबर्स यहाँ जुड़े हैं कि निश्चित तौर पे जो भी आपके कर्मचारी या आपके मालिक डायरेक्टर पार्टनर जो भी विजिट करना चाहते हो उनकी प्री बुकिंग, प्री रजिस्ट्रेशन और रिक्वायर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट्स को सिस्टम में अपलोड कर दें, जिससे वहां पे आने पे कोई समस्या आपको ना हो। थैंक यू सो मच यहाँ जुड़ने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच रतन जी और सौरभ
थैंक
जी।
यू सर।
अब मैं DGIPC की तरफ से एक बार पुनः अपने एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर सभ्या सचिदे, MSME कन्वीनर वानी को धन्यवाद देते हुए मैं मिथिलेश पांडे अपनी कलीग नाली के साथ में आप सबसे विदा लेते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू सर। थैंक यू।